Brant, the jack of all trades, a fusion character with one of the most unique kit and skill set in the game. In this video, I will cover everything you need to know about Brant, including his kit, some advanced tips, builds, teams, rotations, and more.
Now the time has come and the sea is calling, hero.
Without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Starting with his kit. His kit may be a bit difficult to understand, but I will break it down and go with a flow that is easier to understand. So we start with Brant's Liberation. His Liberation is an opener, both combo opener and legs open, because it doubles the rate of Brant's 40 stacks gain. Along with this, it increases the attack buff from his energy regen to attack conversion. Maximum he can get is up to 2600 attack, which means that the conversion caps at 280% energy regen. The Liberation has low damage, but it gives healing and has a high energy cost of 175, which is not a big problem, as we will be building energy regen on him. His Liberation is also a really good gap closer between enemies. Brant's Resonance skill deals some damage and launches him in the air, and you can continue with your attack combos. And the animation of this skill can be cancelled by using his Liberation. While in midair, the Resonance skill changes, and using it will do a plunge attack. This plunge attack will get automatically casted if you miss some midair attack hits, which I will cover in a bit alongside his midair attack combos. Brant gets his Forte circuit stacks when any of his normal attacks hit, which includes the midair attacks, ground basic attacks, dodge counters, or heavy attacks. He gains some from his intro skill and from Resonance skill. He can hold up to 100 stacks. Whenever he gains 25 stacks, he will heal the team. It is marked by this dot on the 40 circuit. When the Forte is full, his Resonance skill will be enhanced. This skill has insane multipliers, and casting it deals a massive chunk of damage, which is considered as basic attack damage and generates a shield. His outro skill gives 20% fusion and 25% Resonance skill damage amplification, which is really nice. Brant's inherent passives increase his Forte healing and gives him some resistance to interruption, which is not that high, and 15% fusion damage bonus. Now let's talk about Brant's mid-air attacks, which we will be mostly using, as they deal the highest damage amongst his normal attacks. Make sure to pay attention closely, as it might be tricky to understand if you miss some part. Brant has a 4-hit mid-air attack combo. In the first 2 hits, he will swing towards the enemy. The 3rd hit creates this vortex, and the 4th hit locks onto the enemy and dashes on them. If Brant doesn't hit an enemy with his basic attack stage 1 or stage 2, he will do a plunge attack, ending his mid-air state. You can also hold his normal attacks button, which will do this spin charged attack. This spin attack can be casted by holding the normal attack button after stage 1 and 2 of his mid-air attack combo. But if you just hold it down, he will continue to do the combo twice and do a flip. After this flip, press his normal attacks to continue with his combo. Brant can flip after every hit of his mid-air attack. This is important as the flip can be used to dodge attacks. His rotations are extremely easy, which I will cover soon, so don't worry too much about learning all this. Just learn his rotation. There's a trick you can do to repeat a specific stage of basic attack. You can use dodge canceling. The 4th basic attack is the most rewarding one, as it has the highest multiplier. To execute it, as soon as Brant's 4th attack hits the enemy, but before it lands, use dodge and then tap the attack button again. You need precise timing for this, so it can be difficult to perform. This increases his rotation slightly, but can be useful for a DPS Brant playstyle, but is not necessary if you don't want extra trouble. For a normal playstyle as sub DPS where you want to fill his Forte as soon as possible, this trick won't be used. For his talent priority, prioritize his Forte circuit, followed by his basic attacks, Liberation, then the intro skill and Resonance skill take the least priority, which can be leveled slightly if you wish to. Moving on to his echo sets. Brant's echo choices can be a bit complicated. There are 3 main echo sets for him: the Tide-Breaking Courage, Molten Rift, and Moonlit Clouds, and his best echo choice changes with his weapons. There's one more set, which we will talk about at the end of this section. I will go over each of his echo set option, starting with the Tide-Breaking Courage. The 2-piece of this set gives 10% energy regen, and the 5-piece gives 15% attack and 30% all types of damage bonus, as long as the equipped character has at least 250% energy regen. And the Echo skill to pair with it is the Dragon of Dirge, which provides the best buffs, 12% fusion damage and 12% basic attack damage. This Echo skill deals some nice damage, and it can be swap cancelled or dash cancelled. If you wish to use this set, you will need to reach 250% energy regen bare minimum. And this Echo set is best paired with weapons that provide ton of energy regen, like his signature weapon, which provides a massive 77% energy regen stat, or Overture that provides 51.8% energy regen. With the Overture, you will need at least 24.2% energy regen from Substats to reach the bare minimum amount, even with double energy regen 3-cost Echoes. This energy regen amount can be possible to reach with S5 Emerald of Genesis as well, which provides 25.8% energy regen, but you will need really high energy regen rolls from Echo Substats, around 51.8%, which is possible as the maximum energy regen stat you can get is 12.8%, but really difficult to get. The next Echo set we have is the good old Molten Rift, with the Nightmare Inferno Rider Echo skill. Even though the normal Inferno Rider provides better buffs, Nightmare one is better as the buff is unconditional. This set provides 15% fusion damage bonus and 30% more after using a resonance skill. This Echo set is around 6% worse than Tidebreaking Courage, with his signature or weapons that can reach 250% energy regen, but is best paired with weapons that don't provide energy regen, like Camelia's signature Red Spring, Emerald of Genesis, or Blazing Brilliance. Now the Moonlit Cloud set. This set has been a staple for sub-DPS characters to buff the main DPS, and it is perfectly viable on Brant too for buffing a main DPS like Changli, Carlotta, Chixia. Brant's DPS falls off by a lot, but main DPS with more buffs slightly makes up for it. But still, the team damage will be slightly less. I wouldn't recommend using this set if you have his signature, but for other weapons, it is alright to go for this set if you don't care much about Brant's damage. This set becomes better on Brant if your main DPS has much higher investments than him. As Brant can heal, he can also use the Rejuvenating Glow set, but it is pretty niche as he is more suited for a hybrid DPS role due to how his outrow works than a sustain support. For his Echo stats, on the 4-cost Echo, crit rate or crit damage depending on your stats. Try to reach 65% or higher crit rate. You can use Shorekeeper's help for this. Double energy regen on the 3-cost Echo. Even with the Molten Rift Echo set, you need at least 200% energy regen in order to have access to his Liberation, which has a very high cost, and get the passive buff. So double energy regen is the way to go. And attack percent on the 1-cost. With the signature, if your Echoes have a good amount of energy regen rolls, and using a second energy regen piece makes them go beyond the maximum cap of 280% energy regen, then you are better off using a fusion damage bonus piece for the second slot. But do make sure you at least have 250% for the Tidebreaking set. For Echo Substats, energy recharge and crit stats are the top priority, followed by basic attack damage bonus, attack percent, and flat attack. Now moving on to his weapons. Brant is the first character ever made whose signature creates such a drastic damage difference between his other weapon options. It provides a huge amount of 77% energy regen, which fits perfectly with his passive and the best Echo set. It also provides crit rate, making it easy to build him, and up to 42% basic attack damage bonus. The Red Spring with Molten Rift set is his next best option, followed by the Emerald of Genesis with Molten Rift and Overture with the Tidebreaking Courage set. All of these are pretty close options. Even though Overture can trigger the Tidebreaking Courage set, you will need 3 to 4 energy regen rolls, which can be quite difficult to get. Blazing Brilliance and Lumengloss with the Molten Rift set are another close option to these weapons. Moving on to his team comps. Brant is a character that provides everything: damage, sustainability through heals and shields, and buff from his outrow. He can efficiently fill his Concerto energy, making him a great sub-DPS. His fusion damage and resonance skill damage amplification buff makes him a really great pair with some DPS characters, and one of them being Changli. Changli has always been a queen of quick swap DPS, but lacks a bit as a hyper carry. But now with Brant providing her with the best buffs, it creates a huge difference. Brant can easily fill his concerto without his intro skill, so that means you can do a double intro rotation on Changli. Double intro basically means you intro into Changli twice. Once is from the sustain support, and the second time from Brant. Sadly, a quick swap team with Brant doesn't look much appealing, as swapping Brant out resets his mid-air combo. The only prominent swap cancel window he has is his forte skill. I will be testing out more of their quick swap synergy and post an update if it seems viable. Chixia, another phenomenal DPS to use with Brant. You can run dual DPS comp with them to compensate for each other's downtime, and Chixia benefits fully from Brant's outro. Similarly, Encore can be used in such a team. Characters that deal resonant skill damage, like Carlotta, Jinxie can be buffed by Brant. With Jinxie, you will need a coordinated attacker for the last slot, like Yuanwu, Yinlin, etc. And let's not forget Brant's capacity to deal good personal damage lets you use him as a hyper carry too. And to buff him, no one else is better than the queen of sub DPS, Sanhua, who has very quick rotations and provide a huge 38% basic attack damage amplification. Raksha can also be used to buff him. She provides less buff but can bring utility to the team with her grouping. And any flex slot can be filled by sustain support like Shorekeeper, Verena, or Beiji. And now that we know about his kit, build, and playstyle, let's see his rotations. Brant's rotations are extremely easy, and he can fill his concerto really fast. Make sure you listen to the important note towards the end of this section. After his intro, use his skill and cancel its animation with his liberation. Then simply hold the basic attack button to spin twice and fill up his forte. Use his forte attack, echo skill, and swap cancel. There are times where you may get interrupted while in air, so all you can do is jump and go back in air to fill the rest of the forte. If only a small amount is left, you can just do it with a ground basic attack. Brant can also fill up his forte efficiently without any need of intro skill, making him an amazing unit for double intro teams. The rotation for it starts with his skill, then his liberation, then hold his basic attack twice for spinning twice, then simply hold the basic attack button to spin twice, and use a basic attack again after the flip for his third hit. Use his forte attack, echo, and outro. One thing to note that Brant can easily get interrupted while doing his forte attack, so you can optionally swap cancel it to keep him safe. And the best part is that you won't get the concerto from the forte attack unless the last hit registers, so you can swap cancel it, then go back to Brant, use his echo, and trigger his outro. Moving on to his sequences. A small note, do not go for his sequences unless you have his signature weapon. It is a better investment to go for. So the weapon should be your top priority. The sequence 1 is quite nice. It slows down enemies while doing his forte attack. This is a nice quality of life upgrade as Brant might get interrupted while doing this attack. It additionally increases his damage by 20% up to 3 times, which can be stacked by using his intro skill and with the flip from his mid-air basic attacks. This sequence provides a good damage boost of 22% to him. Even though it may seem much, it won't create that big of an impact on the total team's damage. But it is still better than most of the character's first sequences. The second sequence is one of his biggest upgrades. It provides 30% crit rate to his mid-air attacks and the forte skill. And after triggering his outrow skill, the resonance skill of the next character you switch into will trigger a blast from Brant dealing 440% damage of his attack, which can be triggered twice. Characters like Changli, Carlotta, Jinxie, Chixia can trigger this effectively. It provides a damage boost of around 44% to Brant. The sequence 3 is where he gets another big increase of 34% as it buffs the multiplier of his new kit, that is his forte attack. Sequence 4 just improves his shield and healing. The 5th sequence gives 15% basic attack damage bonus to Brant, which is a minimal increase of around 10%. It is only a stepping stone for the 6th sequence. And the last sequence will increase the damage of an S0 Brant by 2.5 times. It increases his mid-air attack damage and deals additional hit alongside his forte attack. So overall, for his investment priority, the weapon takes the first seat, followed by his second sequence, then the sixth sequence. And some final thoughts about Brant before we end this video. Brant is an amazing character, able to be played as both sub-DPS and main DPS. His outrow buff lets him pair with many DPS characters. He provides damage, heals, shield, and buffs. As he is mid-air most of the time, he can avoid a lot of ground attacks. However, he can easily get interrupted while doing his mid-air combo. His signature weapon, unlike other limited characters, create a massive damage difference of more than 30% over his other options, and he can be a bit difficult to build, especially for new players as you have to manage his energy regen and crit. Doing this without his signature feels a lot worse. But overall, he is an amazing character, and you won't regret pulling him. And that's all for this video. Don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe for more Wuthering Waves content. Thanks for watching.